How big a deal is it for minor leaguers this season to agree to become represented by a players union, to unionize? How big of a deal is this? I know people talked about it, and I know it was out there, but for the bigger picture of baseball and these individuals as minor leaguers, how big is this?
This is so big that many players could have never fathomed it coming to life. I don't think that any minor league player started this season thinking that it would happen ever, let alone before the season ended.
What does it mean for them? I mean, what are the immediate things? Now, let me just make sure I have this straight. The players voted on whether they wanted to unionize or not. So they did. So is that instantly official, or does it start next year? What's the landscape of that?
There's still some legalities that need to play, that needs to be played out. But because of the number of votes that they received, Major League Baseball has already accepted that we will be unionizing.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
What will players notice first now that they're a union? What will these minor leaguers realize that they did not know before?
Well, that depends on the rollout by the Major League Baseball Players Association. Now, I personally can't speak on the timeline for each step from now until actual implementation. We all know that when there are legalities involved, we can have any sort of timeline.
Things take time. Yep, absolutely.
Totally. Now, what I believe most minor leaguers, especially the ones that I work with, their immediate thought is, better, fair pay,
right?
Better conditions, but at the same time, props to Major League Baseball, because over the last year and a half, whether through force or, otherwise, there have been some very improved conditions with respect to the housing, especially. That has been absolutely huge. What I think will ultimately happen, and what I'm confident will ultimately take place, will be that the expectations of minor league players will be exceeded.
So they have no clue how they're even about to benefit yet, but they're about to find that out.
Yes.
I don't want to go too far into this, but I do want to open the door for most people who don't realize it. They do get paid, obviously, and some things are taken care of for them, but they are not living a major league lifestyle at all. In fact, though, some people would say a lot of these minor leaguers are not even living the life of a professional of any sort, right? In some of the conditions and living situations. What was happening right now or what had been happening that was so rough that it needed to change? Do you know any examples that you could share?
Absolutely. The unfortunate part is that the comparison is made to living the lifestyle of an athlete. Okay, right. Well, the average person can say, well, that's an awfully spoiled and selfish way of thinking. Right. I feel sorry for them. But the majority of minor league players are not making a living wage, and I'm factoring in their signing bonus. So when you have the average person, the average minor leaguer, literally living off of almost a couple $1,000s a month, just for that 6 months or so out of the year.
Right.
Remember that they still have an entire off season to support themselves, or in some cases, their families.
That they don't get paid for, right? They only get paid during the season.
They don't get paid for, nor do they have medical benefits.
Wow.
So when there are things that come up, there are still expenses that are incurred. Then in addition, let's say that you're a minor leaguer, you got injured near the end of the season, and you need to make up for the number of at-bats that you missed in the off season. So now you have a choice to make. You either go to get that job at AMC Theater, or you're going to get at-bats to live out not just your dream, but live out the life that you're trying to create for yourself.
Right.
There's a whole lot of sacrifice that's involved in that. There are some of these kids that are well into their, 24, 25 years old, sometimes older, that are still in the minor leagues, again, earning less than minimum wage.
Yeah, when you calculate it out like that, right? Because it's disproportionate. How much you get paid in season is one thing, but then when you're out of season, it all washes out. And even can you take a winter job, right? Like to your point, sometimes that's not even an option or an opportunity. I was always struck by, living situations where you'd be allotted a certain amount of money to make it work. But imagine like you're a minor leaguer, for example, and here in the Bay Area, like the San Jose Giants. Cost of living in the Bay Area is ridiculous, and you're trying to make that work on a single A salary. That oftentimes has you in a bunk bed situation or in a condo with 5 other teammates.
You're lucky. You said condo. And no.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Then you said bunk bed. No, we're talking air mattresses and blankets on the floor, 5 or 6 in a studio apartment.
Wow.
Okay. And, even former players, I've battled with them at times, and your boy Stu in the early stages until break it down.
Oh, you said Stu. I thought you said who. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no.
I'm just kidding.
Right, exactly. The comparisons are made, oh, well, I did it. Well, no, let's back up, bruh. Let's back up.
Right.
Because the cost of living, the cost of food, we talk in our everyday lives about inflation, but we don't factor that into the increase between the pay of minor leaguers back when guys like Stu were playing until now is like this big.
Hasn't probably changed much.
See, it's still making me like,
it's so big it threw your laptop off.
Exactly. See, no. And so you have to take those things into consideration, that it's not apples to apples anymore.
Yeah.
The costs are increasing. And yes, I get that there's a certain element of sacrifice that is being made to pursue your goals, to pursue your dreams. But that should not be done at the expense of your health. That should not be done at the expense of your future.
Yeah.
And that's where we are when guys don't have the time to go maybe take a couple college courses towards their degree. So now, because they have to live, they have to be able to figure out how they're going to be able to eat more than beans and rice during the season. And that's by working in the off season. Do you see?